Robin Levy, College Outreach Manager for Students Rising Above. I think many of you have heard from me, and if you haven't, you will. So we'll be getting to know each other over the next 9 months or so. First, I just want to thank everyone for participating in this webinar. I know that we're really busy during the summer with internships and with summer opportunities, and so we really appreciate you taking the time to join us for this. Today's webinar's goal, as you can guess, is to get you comfortable and more familiar with the private college landscape, especially liberal arts colleges. We'll have a presentation today from 3 different colleges with different personalities and from very different parts of the country. We're going to have the Northeast, the Midwest, and the Northwest. So, but all of them are liberal arts colleges, and we'll talk about what that means, and then specifically about their specific colleges. The goal today is not for you to attend one of these 3 colleges, although that would be fabulous if that ends up where you are next year. But really the goal is for you to come out with a better idea of private colleges, what they offer, and for you to find the right college for you. And so with that said, we're going to go straight to, actually before I say anything else, you'll notice that you can see us on the side of your screen. We're going to have some information on that side of the screen. So it would be great if you could just hit that little thingy at the left side and make us like kind of disappear to the bottom. You're young, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so now we'll go straight to Alejandro, who's going to get us started in thinking about liberal arts colleges.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. My name is Alejandra Moran. I work at Williams College as an admission counselor, but I'm not going to get into the weeds of what Williams is just yet. We are going to talk to you a little bit more broadly as to what the liberal arts college is, what an education how it could be beneficial to you, and what you could actually get out of it. The liberal arts education is actually a mystery to so many people. I know that when I was in your shoes, I had no idea what a liberal arts was, right? I only knew about my state schools, and that was pretty much it. So only my senior year, I figured out what the liberal arts was. And so really to give you a sense of what you could find in a liberal arts education is an interdisciplinary approach to your education. And so what interdisciplinary means is just that colleges are going to expect you to get outside of your comfort zone just a little bit so that you can get knowledge in all different fields, not just the one that you're super passionate about. I know, for example, I was really interested in the sciences and becoming a doctor, but just becoming a science major isn't going to cut it. I need to get knowledge from so many different areas to actually be the best physician that I could possibly be. And so by attending a liberal arts college, I was able to get so much more exposure to the humanities and to the languages and the arts and so many science courses. And the fact that I was exposed to so many different areas actually developed my critical thinking. It made me ask so many more questions, and it made me want to figure out the whys of so many different fields, right? And so in a liberal arts education, it's gonna essentially ask you to be well-versed in different subjects. And also, liberal arts colleges essentially put an emphasis on an undergraduate education. So what you think of college is your undergraduate education. And so liberal arts colleges put an emphasis on that and on small classes because they want you to have as much attention as possible to make sure that you're performing to the best of your abilities. And so what small classes mean, it means you're going to have so much more exposure to professors and who can actually help you with all the questions that you're going to have in classes, and hopefully gives you more access to gaining all this knowledge. And along those lines too, with having an emphasis on your undergraduate education, it also gives you ample opportunities for doing research in whatever field you're interested in, whether you're interested in becoming a writer or doing economics or actually becoming a doctor. You might want to do some research within those fields, and having access to the research is going to be so much easier when you have professors that want to be there to help you. Since the attention is again on the undergraduate students, that's very different from a large university where it could be one professor to 200 students per class. The professor might not necessarily have the bandwidth to actually want to get to know all 200 students, but in a class of 15 students, it's very likely that you're going to get to know your professors really well. And the wheel that you're seeing on the right side of your screen, that's a picture that the Career Center from Williams put together. I know it's probably hard for you to read what is around the wheel, but it's essentially a lot of different majors, and they're connected to all the different fields that students can go into. So what that wheel shows you is that whatever your ultimate goal is, there's not one straight narrow path to getting there. To become a lawyer, you do not have to major in political science or history. To become a doctor, you don't have to major in a science. There are so many ways to get there. And this just kind of shows it to you a little bit. Kendall and Caitlin, do you want to add anything to that? All right, sounds good. Then we're going to move on to talking about our own individual colleges, starting with Beloit.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kendall White, and I'm an admission counselor at Beloit College. I also attended Beloit as a student, so I've got a lot of that kind of personal experience with the liberal arts as well. And I agree wholeheartedly with everything Alejandra just told you about what the liberal arts truly is. It is a little bit of a mystery, and it's kind of hard to figure out what you're kind of looking at, but hopefully you get a better sense based off what we talk about. So I just want to give you some fast facts kind of about Beloit. So we are in Beloit, Wisconsin. So we are the Midwest school visiting you today. We have about 1,300 students from 48 states and 41 countries. We also have most of our students, so over 50%, come from more than 500 miles outside of Beloit. So that little map on the bottom of your screen, that shaded in blue area, that's the 500 miles around Beloit. So all of the rest of the country and the world, that's where a lot of our students come from. So we have a very diverse student population in that way, as well as pretty much every other spectrum of identity you can think of. Our average class size, kind of like Alejandra pointed out, is going to be pretty small. If you're going to have 15 students, you're going to have discussion-based classes. You're going to be meeting with your professors both in class and outside of class. You're really going to get to know them. We have a variety of majors and minors, over 50 of them, that you can choose from to really start to study and to learn and to grow and to make those interconnections between different areas that you're really interested in and excited about, and maybe you don't know how to combine them together. We can help you do that. Something else that's really great about Beloit is we have 2 teaching museums. So one museum is in the anthropology kind of field, and our other museum is an art history museum. Both of them have enormous collections. Our anthropology museum has over 400,000 artifacts in it that students get to work with on a daily basis. Whether you're interested in anthropology or chemistry or history or creative writing, you're going to be in these museums, you're going to be utilizing them. There's a lot of interdisciplinary action that happens within these areas. And then we also have 19 varsity athletics. We are a Division III institution, so we are student first and an athlete second, but we really do emphasize the ability to be a student athlete and kind of, pull all of your interests together and make yourself really successful during college. Some really key points about Beloit. So 100% of our students do some type of field work or internship while they're on campus. It's one of our few requirements that we actually have for our students. We want to make sure that you're getting the opportunity to get outside of the classroom to start putting those skills into practice from your first day on campus, so that when you go and get an internship, when you go and get a job after graduation, you already have those skills that you can build on, that you're not starting from scratch. So some other key facts on that right-hand side of your screen. So we've got 92% of our students are employed within 6 months after graduation. So another really high kind of statistic there. Graduate degrees, if you're interested in going into grad school or going into a medical program, we have really incredible mentorship that will help you get there, that you can work with, that you can do internships with during the school year or during summer. Kind of bringing all of your areas of interest together while working with faculty individually on a very like one-on-one basis. You're going to be doing that work together with them, not like for faculty. Mentorship and networking opportunities are huge at Beloit as well. And our location, so we are close to 3 major cities. We are an hour to Madison, Wisconsin, an hour and a half to Chicago, and an hour and 15 minutes to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we've got a lot of like metropolitan areas around Beloit. We are in a city of 35,000, so it's a little bit smaller, but it really does give you the opportunity to study and to learn while you're on campus and engaged with the local community. Next slide, please. Beyond the classroom, things at Beloit. So like I said, we really want to get you outside of that classroom. We want to get you into the field practicing. So more than 50% of our students study abroad. Internships and research opportunities are key on campus. You're going to be working with your faculty. We have a Center for Entrepreneurship on campus that includes a maker lab space where you can design your own business, where you can make clothing, where you can use 3D printers and really be creative and think about what you want to do. In addition to Celeb, we also have our gallery ABBA, which is an art gallery that students run, and it's called The Art of Business and the Business of Art. So how do you really take what you love to do, whether it's creative or the more business entrepreneurial side, and how do you put that together and make it a space where anyone can come in? You don't have to be a student. And then we have our Liberal Arts and Practice Center. So that's the space where we're getting you out into the world. It's also like a career center. And then we have a practice requirement that essentially states you're going to do something during your 4 years at Beloit that gets you out of the classroom and where you apply your knowledge. Some different campus resources include our Office of Academic Diversity and Inclusiveness. They work with students who are underrepresented in higher education, so really incredible resource. They do a lot of kind of peer equity kind of models and really making sure that what we're doing is working with all of our students with all the assets that they come in with, not working on a deficit model. The Office of Inclusive Living and Learning also works with students who are underrepresented in more of that living section, not the academics of it all. We have Learning Enrichment and Disability Services where you can get peer tutoring, and a writing center where you can work on your writing, and all sorts of different resources on campus for students. And then some of the really important stuff that we've got, so grants, loans, work study, and federal aid, all the things that you're probably not really wanting to think about, but are important. And we want to make sure you have a good idea. So Beloit offers really extensive merit aid every year. Just by submitting a completed application, you're eligible for merit aid. It's as simple as that. It's really quite accessible. This past year, we offered between $22,000 and $30,000 a year for students for a completed application, and it is based off your transcript. We also have a music scholarship if that's something that you've done in the past, a study abroad award, and we do award specifics for the national merit finalists. So those are just some key kind of things. Obviously, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me or during the session. And then getting to know campus. So some other stuff that's really important. We do offer travel grants in the spring to admitted students. It is a little bit of an application process, but it's pretty simple. So if you decide to apply to Beloit and you're admitted, that's something you can definitely do to get a trip out to campus to visit. You can also Google or search our website. We've got lots of videos up on YouTube. You can follow us on Snapchat and Instagram. Our students run our social media, so you really get a sense of what Beloit is like just by following us on those two areas. And then you can also reach out to me via email or text or any of that stuff, and my information is on our website. So that's a little bit about Beloit, a very condensed version. Hopefully that helps. Oh, also, last thing, sorry. You can get to Beloit via bus from Chicago. So that's where all of our students travel in from.
All right, I am next. Hi, everybody. My name is Caitlin Harper. I am a Senior Assistant Dean of Admissions at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon. I am a Lewis and Clark alumna. I graduated in 2010. I was a psychology major, did a lot of different things, and graduated and decided that I wasn't ready to leave. So I got a job in the admissions office, and I have stuck around now for a total of almost 13 years. So I consider myself an expert on Lewis and Clark, and it makes it difficult to talk about this place in 10 minutes, but I'm going to try. You're going to see a lot of information on these text slides, and I hope that you get the chance to read through all of them. What I hope to share with you is a little bit more about what it feels like to be a Lewis and Clark student, and you'll definitely hear some similarities to the other institutions and the description of a liberal arts school, but my goal is hopefully to give you the Lewis and Clark vibe. So the first thing to really talk about is why do you go to college but to get an education, and what the academic environment is like at Lewis and Clark. We are definitely a traditional liberal arts school, and everything that Alejandra was talking about at the beginning about choice and interdisciplinary studies is definitely true for our students. We are really proud of the fact that no two students at Lewis and Clark are going to do the very same thing for their 4 years. There's just too much choice and possibility for that to happen. So you can be a biology major and have a specific pre-med advisor, all the while working in our sports training program in our athletics department. You can be an English major but dabble in theater and gender studies and computer science. You can take our freshman core class, which everyone takes, with an anthropology professor, and have this massive passion for Middle Eastern studies sparked in you, and go on to study Arabic and travel to Morocco on a study abroad program with that same professor. Like that wheel that was on the Y liberal arts slide, no path is purely direct in a Lewis and Clark education, and that's something that our students are really excited about. Just as much as we want our students to explore academically, we also really want them to explore in the social realm of going to college and in their extracurriculars. We want our students to really pursue and engage within our community and beyond it, because we're located in Portland, Oregon, about 6 miles, 20-minute bus ride outside of the heart of downtown. And we view our campus as home base, but the city of Portland is really our backyard. So as a student at Lewis and Clark, you can help tend the community garden as part of our environmental action living learning community, which is basically like a themed residence hall. And then at the end of harvest season, host a big potluck dinner for the friends that you just made when you went on the river rafting trip with our college outdoors program. You can be a two-sport athlete, similar to Beloit. We are a Division III athletics school and have 19 varsity teams. Our student athletes are not just student athletes. They are also highly engaged in every other aspect of campus. So be that two-sport student athlete, but also join an a cappella group and become a leader in our Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club, and really sort of spread the interests and tentacles across all of campus. Or you can follow in the footsteps of fellow SRA alum and one of my very favorite students that just graduated, Tanzania Jimerson, get a job in our college bookstore, go to every Friday night basketball game, and co-lead our Black Student Union on campus. So there are just as many opportunities to explore socially, to meet new people, and to really learn from others, just as much as there are opportunities in the classroom to do all of those things as well. And then the final part of the real, opportunity presented to you as a student at Lewis and Clark is this importance that every liberal arts school is really going to give you in developing professional and career specific skills, really helping experience what it means to apply education. And one of the biggest benefits for our students in doing that and answering that question is our access to Portland. So a student can get an internship at Nike, which has headquarters in the Portland area. That internship can turn into a job after graduation. You can do research here on our campus or at Oregon Health Science University, which is a huge teaching hospital about 5 minutes away from our campus. Studying abroad is a really big deal for Lewis and Clark students, and a lot of our students go abroad. That international component at Lewis and Clark doesn't just end when students come back from studying abroad. It is one of the biggest reasons why Lewis and Clark students will go on to do things like Peace Corps and Fulbright scholarships, so service and education abroad, and really view their entire experience as a global one, not just one that's centered on our campus. So there are a lot of opportunities for students to take the experiences, the choices that they've made here on our campus to life after Lewis and Clark. And if we move on to the next slide, we at Lewis and Clark did a little project with our students this past year and asked them to describe what it's like to be a Lewis and Clark student in 3 words. And these are some of the most frequently used. On your screen, you'll see things like welcoming, but also challenging, inspiring, and unique, beautiful, and rainy. The realities of living in the Pacific Northwest are that we embrace the rain. But I want to talk a little bit about some specifics as far as the support and the welcoming environment on our campus. We were asked to talk a little bit about resources for first-generation college students and students of color on our campus. And there are 2 that I want to highlight. First is Great Expectations, and second is the LEAP Mentorship Program, LEAP. These 2 experiences are focused on our incoming first-year students. So Great Expectations is an additional 2-day retreat on top of the orientation process that our entire incoming students go through. And the program is meant to provide students with a smaller cohort to get to know and connect with, but also introduce them to administrators, so deans on campus, and whoever runs the financial aid office, but our faculty and other current students as well. You have the opportunity to learn about resources on campus along the lines of academic support, religious and spiritual life, PE and athletics, sort of every corner of our campus in a very intimate way. And then you get the chance to do some team building, right? And some bonding as a group, not only with the other incoming students, but also with the LEAP mentors, so the upperclassmen that will be your mentors throughout the rest of your first year. Our LEAP mentorship program is one that, again, is founded in fun, hopefully, really allowing students to connect and find people that relate to them and can share authentic stories, but in both directions. But they are there as a continued resource. And I know that a lot of our upperclassmen take it as a real point of pride that they can be helpful to our incoming students. And it's one of the biggest ways that we start to form the community on our campus. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is the opportunity to visit Lewis and Clark in Portland. For our California students, it's a fairly easy travel experience. Driving or flying or taking the train is an option as well. And we have a program at Lewis and Clark called the Compass Scholars. And our Compass Scholars have the opportunity to apply to a fall fly-in program or be selected for a spring fly-in program after being admitted to Lewis and Clark. And so basically what that means is if you are selected as a Compass Scholar, we will bring you to campus for an extended weekend visit, and you get to stay on campus, eat in the residence halls, go to classes, meet current students and faculty, represented students to apply for this program and visit our campus so that we can show you how rainy but also beautiful it really is. So I guess to wrap it all up, like I said in the beginning, I've been at Lewis and Clark for quite some time. And if I were to describe this place in 3 words, I would use the words supportive, invigorating, and very green.
All right. So I can begin by telling you all a little bit more about Williams. And I forgot to mention earlier too that I also am an alum from Williams College. I graduated in 2017, so I'm just finishing my first year with the office. I was a biology and psychology double major when I was a student. Want to become a doctor, and I am taking some time off studying for the MCAT so I can go in 2 years. But to give you some broader context as to what Williams College is, we are located in Williamstown, Massachusetts, which is a fairly rural place in northwestern Massachusetts. We are located an hour from Albany, New York, 3 hours from Boston, and 3 hours from New York City. And being in such a rural place, we are located at the bottom of mountains. Anywhere you look, there are mountains. And so knowing that we're a rural place, we put a lot of emphasis on community building. Also given that we're essentially a residential campus. The great majority of our students live on campus. And so again, we put the emphasis on making sure our students feel supported during their time here and to make sure that they're thriving both socially and academically. And the way in which we start forming communities is during the students' first year, as soon as they get to campus. We have a residential system unlike any other in the country that's called the entry system. And so for our 2,200 students, all of them during their first year, they're going to be living with a group of 20 to 30 other first year students. And they live with a cohort essentially for the entire first year. And everyone in that particular cohort, that cohort is called an entry. And every one of the cohort is coming from very different places, very different lived experiences. So they're gonna have a lot to contribute to their own entry, and each entry is meant to be a microcosm of the college in general. So you're gonna be exposed to many different, very different people with very different personalities. And each entry also has a group of what we call junior advisors or JAs. And JAs are junior students or third-year students that are essentially there to be your mentors. They volunteer to spend their junior year living with first-year students. They have no disciplinary power at all. They volunteer to do this because they want to be mentors to the first-year students to make sure that they're transitioning as smoothly as possible into the college experience. Essentially, they serve as older siblings, if you will, because again, they want to make sure that you're making the most out of your experience and guiding you through the entire first year. And then earlier, we've all been talking about how the small classes happen in their own individual colleges and in a liberal arts institution as a whole. But I just wanted to emphasize that we not only do we build community within the entry and socially, we also try to do it academically. And so Williams really takes those small classes to the next level with our class size average of 13 students. Most of our classes are seminars, which are essentially discussion-based courses where you're sitting around in a circle, discussing a reading, discussing a book, and you really can't hide from professors in these types of classes. The professors will know you. They will know you as both a person and as a student, and they will want to make sure that, again, you're making the most out of your college experience. So they will try to get the conversation out of you because they all believe that you have something meaningful to contribute. Another testament to how much we want our students to really succeed and be mentored is our student to faculty ratio of 7:1, which is one of the lowest in the country, where there are so many faculty members that are doing cutting edge research and could be at any other place in the country or in the world, but they are at Williams because Williams values the balance between teaching and doing research of their own. And so we have plenty of faculty for the 2,200 students that we have on campus, 2,200 undergraduate students. And in addition to the small classes, I mentioned an average class size of 13, but we have a very special type of class that's very unique to Williams in general, and it's called a tutorial. And tutorials are one of the most unique, if not the most unique aspect of Williams, because if you think 13 students is too small for a class, imagine being in a class where you're making up 50% of the class. So you're in a class with one other student and one professor. When these tutorial classes, we are the only highly selective institution in the country that are able to offer tutorials. We offer them across departments, but the most common type of tutorial that we offer is a writing intensive type. So I'm just gonna play out a little example as to what a tutorial would look like in a writing intensive course. Let's say that both Kendall and Caitlin are students in my clinical and community psychology course, where in this specific example, I'm the professor. And so I made Kendall and Caitlin a pair at the beginning of the semester, and each pair will meet with the professor once a week for about an hour. So let's say the three of us decided to meet on a Tuesday afternoon. And so both Kendall and Caitlin have the exact same readings to do, same assignment, but Caitlin volunteered to write the first paper of the semester. And so what that looks like is that she writes a 5 to 7 page paper on a book that I assigned on a given week. She writes that paper, she sends it to Kendall and to me, the professor, 24 hours before we meet for the tutorial. And so then Kendall has those remaining 24 hours to write a critique on Caitlin's paper. So she's going to critique both Caitlin's arguments, her ideas, her writing, but Caitlin isn't going to actually see the critique until we get to class. So Caitlin actually has to come really prepared with her arguments, right? So once we come to class, every professor is different. So for my particular class, let's say I ask Caitlin to read her paper out loud. And reading something out loud is actually a great form of feedback because you can actually listen to whether a sentence makes sense structurally, whether a sentence is grammatically correct, whether something is misspelled. And then she's going to actually make her arguments and defend those arguments. And then Kendall will essentially critique all those ideas. Kendall could maybe completely agree or disagree. And that's kind of the beauty of these tutorials, in that it's a discussion, the three of us. And as a professor, I'm not necessarily lecturing the students. I'm letting them really take charge of the conversation. So the three of us are pretty much equal in this type of relationship. And then the following week, the roles reverse, where Kendall will write the paper and then Caitlin will write the critique. So every week you're going to be writing a different type of piece on a different reading that we have. But I mentioned we offer tutorials across different departments. So if you took a music tutorial, for example, you could compose a piece of music and your partner critiques it. If you do a dance tutorial, you could focus on choreographing a piece of dance throughout the entire semester, but you're getting feedback every week, essentially. And so that's kind of what tutorials look like at Williams. They are, as I mentioned, one of the most unique aspects that we have, and we're really fortunate to be able to offer these courses where you're having such an individualized attention from your professors. Then I also really wanted to touch on the financial aid that's offered at Williams. Williams is really fortunate to have the resources to provide for our students and provide some of the best financial aid packages in the country. We are essentially need-based school, so we don't offer merit scholarships. So even if you're a wonderful student, a wonderful athlete, wonderful artist, we can't give you a scholarship for that. What need-based means is that we actually provide you your financial aid based on your individual family situation. So however much your parents make, your assets, businesses, whatever that is. But if you were to apply to Williams and get accepted, we meet 100% of your demonstrated need. Very quickly, what that means is that we pay for whatever your family can't afford. So if your family can't afford to pay anything to Williams, we'll pay 100% of it. If your family can only afford to pay $5,000, we'll pay the remainder $65,000. And so we pay for all of that. And if you qualify for any type of financial aid, you essentially qualify for what we call the Williams Book Grant, where we pay for all of your books and all of your school supplies, your course material, sorry. And we're really fortunate to be able to do that. And even if your books cost $300 or $1,000 in a given semester, we will pay for all of them. All you have to do is go to the Williams bookstore and pay with your Williams ID, and it gets charged to the financial aid office. So it's not even that you have to pay up front and then get reimbursed. We pay for all of it. Also, a really great statistic that I like to mention is that 20% of our students actually pay nothing to come here, which is a really wonderful thing, as I mentioned. And given that we can provide the books as well, that's another cost that we can remove from the students. And if you're a science student that has lab courses, the lab supplies are paid for you. If you're a student that's taking art courses, the art materials are also covered for you. And I will mention too, we do have a fly-in opportunity. And the fly-in is essentially an opportunity for you to visit Williams College for free. This is Windows on Williams is our fly-in program name. And I'm originally from New Mexico. And this is how I found out about Williams and how I actually got to visit campus, because I personally, my family did not have the means to allow me to travel to a college in Massachusetts. So this is how I found out about Williams. This is how I personally fell in love with the college. And I would encourage any student who's interested in just any college that offers a fly-in to really take advantage of those opportunities, because choosing a college really is all about fit and whether you see yourself on that campus later on. If you apply to Windows on Williams, our deadline is August 1st, and you would have a chance to get your transportation paid for, meals, room and board. You would meet current students, attend classes, and really meet with different faculty and staff.
Awesome. Thank you guys. That was super informative. Even I learned a lot. So while all of you guys are thinking of questions to ask, remember you guys can just click on the chat box or this bubble, just type in your questions and I can ask on behalf of you. While you guys are thinking about questions, I'm going to launch our post survey. So I'm excited to see what the results are, and it should pop up on your screen. So think of the questions. This is a great opportunity to ask. So yeah, we have some questions. So keep taking the post survey, and I'm just going to ask the questions as they come along. So one of our students wants to know, are there any wellness and healthcare centers at your schools?
So I can start. So we do have a health and wellness center on campus, and it's a space for students to go for physical kind of health things. So if you need a nurse, if you need any type of prescription management, any of that stuff, you can access that. But we also have mental health care on campus as well. So Beloit offers free, unlimited counseling sessions with our counselors that we have on staff throughout the semester or throughout the year. So it's a really good resource. And they do other programming as well that's more fun and like you learn things like that kind of stuff. But all over health is definitely thought of very highly here.
I will say too, from the Williams perspective, it's very similar to Beloit in that our health and wellness center is called the Integrated Wellbeing Services. And so again, you could go to get a physical for any physical needs that you may have, but also mental health. And we do take that very seriously at Williams. So very similar to Beloit, we do offer unlimited sessions with a therapist, and you could go weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly to go see a therapist. And the great thing about it too is that we've been trying to increase the amount of therapists of color and therapists who identify as queer, because we also know that representation matters in those types of spaces too. So students may feel more comfortable going to talk to a person of color if they themselves identify as a person of color. So we've been really trying to be as inclusive as possible in those types of situations as well.
Yep. We do have a health center and a mental health center on our campus. We also will definitely connect our students to services and resources in the Portland community, since it's so close by and can provide a much more expansive opportunity for our students beyond just what our college campus can provide. Easy access, you go to the health center, but if it's sort of more recurring or more specialized, you have Portland.
Awesome. So we have about 3 to 4 minutes left and quite a few questions. So one of them says, thank you so much for speaking to them today. They want to ask, they really want to go to a medium-sized school because they like the idea of meeting a lot of people, a place with lots of school spirit, just lots of things to do in and out of campus, but they also want a place where there's close connections that a liberal arts school has. So they're wondering if liberal arts school is still a good fit for them. And anyone can take that question. Yeah, Robin?
I'm actually going to take that one. Also, just because we're getting we're getting close to the time to end, and I kind of looked at some of those questions about diversity stats and about tutoring services. So I'm going to be really mindful of time because Michelle does need to hop. I think the question is, maybe a liberal arts college is the right place for you, and I think it's worth visiting, and that's why I really emphasize visiting, because it may seem like it seems really big, it seems really small, but when you're actually there, you may find that there's actually a lot more folks. I know people who've been to schools that are around that 2,200 size, and then meet people who are in their same class and they've never met them. Like they meet them after they graduate. They're like, what? You know, so there's more space than you may think. In terms of the tutoring services, I want to say, I know now I'm speaking for everyone, all of these schools have fabulous tutoring services, and we really encourage that you utilize your college's tutoring services when you're there. And then in terms of diversity stats, obviously it varies. I'm going to urge you to go to all of their websites and check that out, and check out all the websites for schools that you're interested in. And this is the time to do that, and get on those websites that you're interested, of schools you're interested in, and request information so that those schools know who you are, and then they can give you more information. Is it okay if we go to the next slide? And we kind of I just want to say a few things. Okay, so we have some important dates. We have more liberal arts college opportunities. Yay! SRA loves liberal arts colleges because of the small class sizes and the faculty contact and the support services and just the flexibility. We're going to have another reception, an in-person reception, September 16th and another one October 13th. Those are voluntary but encouraged. You don't have to go. September 22nd is mandatory. You have to be there. There will be a UC there. There'll be a CSU. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff. You can see it's a long day. It's awesome. All the Hubsters, if you are on this webinar, you will be able to go to any one of those workshops and receptions that you want to go to. I will make sure that happens, okay? These folks, they're gonna give their information at the end. Please contact them. If they're on this panel, if I'm getting you in contact with them, I'm happy with the financial aid they provide. I just want to put that out there. Can we do the next slide? And I'll just finish my things. Okay, a few further questions or like college and flying information, you know where to find me. You know, I'm hard to lose. I'm stalking you usually. There's a lot of college information resources on the Hub. We have more webinars. We have a lot of documents to read. We're amazing. A few do's and one don't. Do start early. Now is the time to start. You heard we've got fly-in applications due as early as August 1st. Do start researching. These schools are going to come through. You're going to have opportunities to meet people. Now's the time to go. Do look at schools outside California. There's like a whole world outside of your state. I know it's scary. I feel you totally. Do research them. Step a little bit outside your comfort zone. We'll be here to walk you through that and support you. Don't panic. It's all going to be good. You're going to find a fabulous school that's going to make you super happy. Okay. Do we have
So if you guys want to reach out to any of them, let's say you had a question that you didn't want to ask in front of everybody, totally understandable. Feel free to reach out to them. Their emails and names and schools are in front of you, so jot them down. This webinar was also recorded, so if you want to rewatch any part of it, it will be uploaded by the end of the day tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us, especially for you guys who are on a totally different time zone. And we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Some of the students are saying thank you in the chat box.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
All right, bye, guys.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Take care.